So it's time to call Bart Biebuyck from Brussels at the ETHGU. Hello, Bart.
Hello.
You're the
Great to be here.
Director from the ETHGU, which stands for Fuel Cell and Hydrogen Joint Undertaking. First, can you explain what is this organization and how it can help for hydrogen deployment?
Well, the Fuel Cells and Hydrogen Joint Undertaking is basically a public-private partnership. So we have three partners with whom we work. It's first of all a public side, which is European Commission, which is of course very important because they put the money on the table then, which we can then support financially projects. And the other two partners are basically private partners. It's Hydrogen Europe Industry, 250 industrial organizations, and then we have Hydrogen Europe Research is around 80 research organizations. Basically, what we are doing is we're supporting financially projects in the research field, of course, of fuel cells and hydrogen. By today, we have funded 285 projects for around 1.07 billion euro. And since this is a public-private partnership, of course, it's also the private members needs to put in equal amount of money. We work in energy field, transport field, and the cross-cutting field is more a bit of horizontal issues around standardization, safety, and education. So how can we help to, of course, to accelerate the famous hydrogen economy we are all talking about? Is basically, well, when we support R&I, the idea is to accelerate the development of those technologies. You know that still several technologies are expensive, so we need to do the cost reduction. Also, we need to help to scale up the manufacturing. So we also look into technologies, how we can manufacture faster and with a good quality, of course. But also we do demonstration projects. And so we have a couple of big demonstration projects where we put a fleet of cars, a fleet of buses in the field, and we also provide the infrastructure and really test it to show, to demonstrate that it works, because this is the way how you can convince them later people who wants to buy this kind of technology, that you really show, look, it works, you know, and without any problem.
Maybe to start, we can discuss the Jive and Jive 2 program, because it's about buses and it works very well.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, the Jive and the Jive 1 was actually one of our latest projects on buses, where we really want to put hundreds of buses in the field. Actually, to be exact, it's around 256 buses. But before that, before we arrived at this point, of course, we had smaller projects really started on more than 10 years ago. I mean, I remember at that time the first bus in the Chic project was 1.8 million euro. Of course, at that time nobody wants to buy such kind of bus, but we need to show it that that the technology works. And we have done several projects in between, and each time we reduced the cost of the bus. And now with Jive 2, we reached basically a cost of around 500,000 euro for a bus. And we know now that when cities will order now hundreds of buses as a next step, that we can get even below the 500,000 euro and actually being competitive at other zero emission technology. So what we actually did is coming from a very early research stage to bring it to basically a commercial position now. And for us, buses is now completely commercial, and it's great to see, because we have, I said, the city of Essen, for example, recently in Germany, they ordered 100 hydrogen buses. I know from another city 200 hydrogen buses. So you see that basically now it's gone. Huh? For us now in the buses, of course, we need to look now to coaches, and that's something new. The challenge in coaches is very different than city buses, what we have done so far.
Okay, one word about cars and stations through the HME program.
Yeah, the H2ME program is really an activity where we try to coordinate in Europe among several countries where to position the hydrogen refueling stations, and also to put at the same time a number of cars at those stations, so that basically the station can be used in a sustainable way. So in that project, we put it 50 stations, 50 hydrogen refueling stations in various countries, being in countries really up to the north, like in Norway, but also in Scandinavia, but also in Iceland. So very harsh conditions, very cold, see how it works. but also in France, in Germany, UK. So we really wanted to test several environmental conditions, but also various business cases, because each country has different taxation schemes for cars, or even for fuels. So what we did was really also putting around those stations a number of cars, and totally we will fund 1,400 cars for all those stations. And a big part of those cars are range extenders. So that means you have basically a battery car where you put a small fuel cell in addition. And so that basically those vehicles, which are basically vans in the current form, that can drive longer than only with battery. And we see that there's a business case as well for that, but we wanted to learn from that. How are people using those type of cars? And I think it was very successfully, because that led now, I mean, I think you know it, the Stellantis announced very recently the Opel and Peugeot and Citroën, now they will come with this type of vehicle. And I think, again, our program or this project really demonstrated that is a viable solution and a solution that people want. And so then you see again the uptake and to go to commercialization.
So ETHIA-Geo has been a starter. And another key application is for fleets of taxis, and you've been supporting the Zephyr program.
Yeah, the Zephyr program, and also earlier as well, other projects. But what we wanted to do is really to support taxi fleets. And why taxi fleets is because we see that hydrogen will play a very important role in the passenger car, especially when the vehicles are used in a high intensive use. High intensive use, well, clearly a taxi is intensive use. So, and we see that, for example, in Paris, the hype taxis that I'm sure you know about them, we have really supported them. We saw that this was a good model because there's a lot of take off of the hydrogen, and so now we wanted to replicate what we have done, tried first in Paris, now in other parts of Europe. Like in the UK, also we tried to do something similar in Brussels. We will go also probably to Copenhagen. So you see other capitals in Europe are now actually copying something that was really kickstarted in Paris in an earlier project. So the Zephyr project is about basically try the same model in other capitals.
So the next step, and maybe the next success, is about trucks, H2 trucks with the H2 hull.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Basically, what we want to try to do is to replicate what we did with the buses, really starting from very basic, and then try to reduce the cost until you can go then to commercialization. So we just started actually. I mean, H2 Hull was the first project where we really wanted to demonstrate 15 trucks. Really in the field. I think it's in 4 different countries that we will try them with 2 manufacturers. One is Iveco, the other one is VDL, with 2 European fuel cell stack providers as well. So it's really a European project. And the idea is that they build now the first trucks, put it on the road and test them with real customers. One customer will be, for example, BMW in Germany, will really test them in their facilities. So yeah, I'm looking forward really, or also Carrefour in France, by the way, will also use those trucks. So I'm looking forward to see the results. But of course, this is not where we will end. The next step is really to have this bigger fleets of demonstrations like we had with the Jive buses. I believe that this should be our next step.
Thank you, Bart Biebuyck, for being with us today. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Thank you.